Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. The iPhone X is finally out there. Do you have one? What are your thoughts? Was it a worthy upgrade? As always, tweet your opinions to me over at Neil C. Hughes. But one of the big features from this $1,000 device is Apple's facial recognition technology. And biometric authentication is often promoted as the most secure method to allow us to access our accounts, all using our unique individual characteristics. Rather than trying to remember a password, we've now become the password, as new tech devices use fingerprints, facial recognition, eye scans, whether that be iris or retina, and even voice recognition. But I found myself asking, just how secure is biometric authentication? Because I quickly learned that although the authentication method itself is deemed secure for obvious reasons, behind it the same old problems could still occur. I mean, what if the database that contains all this biometric data leaks and that data becomes compromised? Now, before you think this is just scaremongering, what put it on my radar was earlier this year, an incredible 130 million users in India found themselves at risk of fraud after a massive leak of Indian biometric system data. Now, this is a subject that seldom gets talked about, so I wanted to speak with an expert directly in India about the dangers of leaking databases containing all those biometric details. This search led me to Debesh Choudhury. Now, he is an Electro-Optics Engineer, and I invited him on today's show to share his insights and expertise because he's a hardcore innovator and researcher with 22 plus years of hands-on experience in defence research and information security. Now, he's already worked on 3D shape sensing and recognition for quite some time, and his technique of 3D object recognition has yielded robust technology for 3D human face recognition. He's also developed an asymmetric crypto system for multi-model biometric security, and a part of that research was presented at the 2016 Defence and Security Conference over in Baltimore, USA. So yesterday we went to Australia, but today I want to beam your ears all the way to India so we can speak with Debesh about biometric system data and why we need to take securing those databases seriously. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thank you very much. I am Debesh Choudhury from India. I'm a researcher and academician with over 22 years of experience in defense research and information security, and about 15 plus years of teaching experience in university background in electronics and communication engineering. I hold a PhD from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, in applied photonics, and also have 2 years of postdoctoral research experience at the University of Electrocommunications, Tokyo. Now, let me tell you that I'm a hardcore GNU Linux user since 1999, and I train people on Linux and open source software by organizing research outreach events in and around academia. I don't use any proprietary software unless forced or for research or business purposes, and my current research focuses on biometric security and privacy protection.
I'm glad you mentioned biometrics there, because the iPhone X, or iPhone 10 as some call it, is now out, and it seems that biometric authentication is really going mainstream as people unlock their phones now using their face, their eyes, their fingerprints. But then I found myself asking, but how secure is this? And this is where I began to learn about your work and the privacy protection of biometric data of citizens. It's very often a deep concern that people don't even think about. I mean, but can you expand on that?
Yes. Frankly speaking, I have not seen the iPhone X, but I have seen only the videos, the reviews. I read a lot about Apple's Face ID earlier, and that reconstructs 3D shape of the human face from light of flight or the point cloud technique. It illuminates with the infrared light, and the sample videos show how it recognizes the 3D face and unlocks the iPhone. They also show that a color photograph of the face doesn't work. But I guess that a 3D printed 3D face and fingerprint models may be able to unlock the iPhone. So here there is a threat.
Have you ever actually tried that yourself, or is there a side of you that wants to test it and see if it does work?
Yes. Another point I want to mention that because the iPhone is a personal property and storing the 3D face data on the phone is safe as long as the phone is with the owner. A hacker may steal the phone and unlock the phone with a 3D printed face model. Then the biometric data is open to the hacker. But if the biometric data is privacy protected, then the hacker may hack the data but can't make any use of it. That is why it is very important that the biometric database should be privacy protected. Otherwise, the identity hacks may spoil the original purpose. And data leakage is very common in the internet-driven life. When we transmit data, and if it is not encrypted, it is vulnerable to data stealing. Same is true for biometric data.
Now, you've spoken about what damage the leakage of biometric database can actually cause as well. But can you tell me more about how, as a result, you developed a method for privacy protection?
I had proposed 3D object recognition technique during my postdoctoral studies long ago, as early as in 2002. Only in 2007, I applied it to 3D human face recognition. It was based on structured light pattern projection onto the 3D object. Now, while doing research studies on biometric authentication a few years ago, we got incidentally some intermediate images which were neither recognizable by human vision system nor by our authentication algorithms. Then we thought how to utilize those results. Here came the idea of privacy protection. Later we realized that it is a subject of tremendous utility because privacy protection means keeping data in a different form or encrypted, which is otherwise not recognizable unless a proper decryption key or code is available. In a recent research, face and fingerprint signatures were fused to achieve more robust security system. We also made it privacy protected by encryption. A part of the research was presented in 2016 SPIE Defense and Security Conference in Baltimore, USA.
So for the average smartphone user that's carrying around their life on their smartphone right now, they're led to believe that biometrics are incredibly secure by using their unique fingerprints or retinas, etc. But can you advise in layman's terms that how secure biometric data can actually leak and help listeners understand how it could affect them? I mean, do you have any use cases just to help them visualize what can happen?
As such, biometric authentication is to unlock the smartphones is fine as long as the user's biometric signature is not leaked. Now, as a user, we must know how the personal biometric data can leak. Faking a 2D face image is easy compared to a 3D face template. The iPhone X uses infrared point cloud illumination system to capture the 3D face reference. One can use similar technology and capture your 3D face image and make a 3D face model by 3D printing. By the same technology, the 3D thumb model can also be 3D printed. In fact, in a murder investigation case recently, the police 3D printed the dead victim's thumb to unlock his smartphone so as to get more clues about the murder from his smartphone. So, faking the biometric templates is indeed not impossible.
So do you think, now we've got that information, do you think applications will need to focus on improving the data security, in particularly of financial and banking sectors?
Oh yes. And nowadays, most of the financial and the banking transactions are made using internet and computers and or handheld mobile devices. Often we are very relaxed to see the HTTPS or the secure server icon on the web address of the transaction portals. Several banks use different levels of security. Very recently, I paid stamp duty online using an Indian bank in connection with purchase of an apartment. I was astonished to notice that the transaction was processed just with the transaction password and without needing the second authentication code through SMS. That was different for that bank portal. That means if someone just knew my transaction password, he or she could have conveniently performed money transactions on the bank portal. So this is at most important that financial transaction applications must be very robust.
So do you think that the recent Experian hack highlights how data protection is one of the biggest challenges for modern businesses now?
Oh yes. Just before the Unifax data breach news, in the second week of August 2017, I had a serious problem with my credit card. 2 transactions SMS came to my mobile phone saying that some transaction of US dollar something had been denied because of wrong expiry date of the credit card number, so and so. Believe me, I did not do any such transactions. Then came a phone call from the credit card company to reconfirm, and I just cancelled my credit card. I really didn't know and did not have any clue how did that happen. After the Equifax data breach of September 2017, I was almost sure that something similar hacking happened here. That means my credit card number, date of birth, name, etc. were leaked or hacked. Fortunately, the date of expiry was wrong. So data security is the biggest challenge for modern businesses.
So do you think there is an urban myth that everyone assumes that biometric security is super secure, but they are unaware of the Achilles heel and how it actually can leak data?
Yes. Common people tend to assume that biometrics means a great security. When Alibaba started SmilePay, there were applauses all over. I have seen video clips showing a group of people crowded in front of the camera view and were testing its power. There was no 3D face option, and people probably can do transactions by showing smiling face photos. The iPhone X promo says that it is ready for Visa and other credit cards. But if the iPhone is stolen and the 3D face model is hacked by 3D printing, what would be the situation? It is quite bad.
So what's next for biometric security, do you think? I mean, how do you see these things evolving for both mainstream users and also businesses over the next few years?
Biometric security technology is a subject of intense research. Like all other security technology, this has also its advantages and disadvantages. The most common problem is that the biometric data may be captured in the public places. It is true that a publicly captured biometric data would lack quality, such as resolution. Even if parts of the data, the hackers may try to reconstruct the complete data and augment the quality using artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is a real threat for the future. So the future biometric security need to disrupt into a different dimension. I foresee that biometrics database will be privacy protected. It may incorporate the new idea of blockchain concept, which is revolutionized by the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. The biometric database may be stored in fragments and distributed over multiple servers with multiple level of privacy protection. Users may have their own mobile hardware to put custom encryption for each transaction.
So if there are any global companies listening today, probably having their eyes opened by that conversation, I mean, and they're now thinking about they're going to have to enhance their biometric security after listening to today's episode, how can they reach you to either work with you or ask more questions about anything that we've covered?
Yes, the most available connection will be LinkedIn invite, so one can connect with me on LinkedIn, and there I have my email address, Skype, and my phone numbers.
Excellent. Well, I'll add your LinkedIn profile to the show notes of today's podcast. We look at the news today. Everyone's getting carried away with the iPhone X and biometric security and authentication. But I don't think we do think enough of just how secure it actually is. So I really want to thank you for coming on today and taking the time to explain in layman's terms of not just to blindly follow.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I think privacy protection of biometric data of citizens is a deep concern because leakage of that biometric database can cause serious damage. In his 2016 research paper, Debesh already demonstrated how privacy protection of biometrics can be achieved by a multi-model biometric encryption. So it's not all doom and gloom, and there is workarounds to protect data. Equally, the Equifax data breach recently, and earlier the Yahoo security breach of 2016, have incited Debesh to get more hands-on and improve that data security and privacy out there. Debesh has already vowed to channelise his expertise in privacy protection of biometrics for solving data security problems. But have any of you listening to today's show stopped to consider the implications of what would happen if all your biometric and other personal data was compromised and became accessible for everyone online? And if you hadn't, maybe today's podcast will make you think just a little bit more cautiously about biometric security. But if you're listening and this is your area of expertise too, I want to hear from you. So please email me at techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. Right, I've put on a few pounds over the summer, I'm afraid, with one too many trips, too much food, and maybe a little bit too much overindulgence. So it's time for me to hit the road now, quite literally, and go for a run. But my ageing bones will return tomorrow with another great guest. So a big thank you for tuning in, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.